Okay. Right before I was going to go live, I get an error message. I tested this thing like 10 times. That's just today. Finally got it working. Then I get an error message. Because it wouldn't be OBS if something wasn't crapping out on me. I had so many problems with this thing last week. Which, I guess we should get that out of the way first, right? Last week, there were so many technical problems with OBS. Admittedly, I have not streamed in a while. I know the audio sounded like garbage, which I didn't realize until afterward. Sorry about that. Hopefully it's fixed now. Also, for anyone who has been asking, because I'm sure, some people have. Yeah, there it goes. And it cut off the first couple of minutes, didn't it? All right. Whatever. People have been asking about the where's the stream from last week. It's on the live streaming channel now. I'm sorry, it took a while to figure out how to download it. It wouldn't let me do it for the longest time. There's another technical issue I've been pulling my hair out over. I had so many problems with OBS last week. It took a few days to figure it out. I've been running tests all the time. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know what the issue was. Every time I try to live stream, something goes wrong. It's so weird. But we're back for Daredevil Born Again episode 4. We're talking about tonight. Hopefully all the issues have been resolved, so this should go up in the live streaming channel by tomorrow. And let me know if you can hear the sound of my voice. Hello, hold on. Daredevil Born Again episode. Yeah, there it goes. I'm just really paranoid about the audio. Last week the audio sounded like crap, and I'm still not really sure why. I've been tinkering with OBS for days. Everything seems to be going okay now. So we're going to talk about the episode. Get your super chats in if you're so inclined, and then we'll do those at the end, and then we'll get out of here. Okay? Thanks for coming back. I know there were some problems last week. Yeah, sounds great. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, anyway, so last week, go away. Last week, I said that while I did enjoy episode 3 and thought it was good despite the lack of action, going too long without action is not going to be a good thing. I know the production team is probably having to incorporate at least some elements from the previous iteration of the show before the retooling happened. I know that like recouping some of those losses is a few rough patches. So, another week and another episode with no action. And surprisingly, I didn't mind so much. Again, they're just developing the story and the characters and focusing on drama, and it's all really good. I still think it's time to get back to the action, though. Daredevil is an action-based character, so to go this long without any fighting is definitely weird. But as long as the writing is this good, I don't mind waiting. Based on the way this episode ended, it looks like the wait is about over anyway. Let me just move this out of the way here. That's better. Alright, so there's still a couple things we gotta get through first before we get to that stuff. While I thought this episode was great, there are some scenes that left me wondering, why do we need this? Why is this here? Where's this going? What's the point of this? I'm assuming these were the parts of the previous version of the show that they just inserted in there to save money. Because these were the parts that kind of stood out. It felt a little bit awkward. We'll see. They feel a little bit out of place. Like, there's a subplot about Matt taking on a pro bono client who robbed a convenience store, and is insisting on getting a sweetheart deal where he gets off easy with probation, even though he's got a rap sheet as long as my arm. And he did kind of get screwed because the cops ate the food he stole and nothing happened to them, but he still did the crime and he's got a ton of priors. Probation will not be an option, and he's not going to bend on this. So Matt Murdock, motherfucking attorney at law, works his magic with the unusually attractive court officer who's in charge of figuring out sentencing stuff. Between the legal mumbo-jumbo and some light flirting, Matt somehow talks her down to about 10 days in Rikers, of which the man will serve about 7, which seems like a slap on the wrist, all things considered. By the way, this woman had no chill and was very obviously checking Matt out as he walked away. They had a really nice chemistry here. I would not mind seeing more of this character, although I think her inclusion here was likely just to set her up as a future victim, either of Fisk or more likely Muse. On his way out, though, Matt confronts that crooked cop from last week. His heartbeat tells Matt that he's telling the truth, that he had nothing to do with Hector Ayala's death. But he's not shy about threatening Matt if he were to get on the bad side of some of his more ill-tempered friends in the police force. This scene and the chat with the arraignment lady are the reason this plot exists, I think. The stuff with the client I was impatient with, he says later on that he's been jerked around by the system his whole life and how hard it is living off food stamps, and this is going to affect his benefits and whatnot. Matt does feel bad about this, and I'm not unsympathetic, but I'm not sure why this is here. I guess to show that Matt misses hard luck cases and helping out the little guy like him and Foggy used to. I get it. I can see that Matt is unhappy and misses the way things were. But there might have been other ways to show that, other than with a client who is as stubborn as this guy and as very obviously guilty as this guy is. Then we also have a subplot about Kingpin's Weasley sycophant assistant. He stays out too late clubbing with BB Urich, and he drunkenly mentions some things to her about Mayor Fisk. Some things the mayor has in the works about the sanitation department trying to save the money, which Fisk was not ready to make public yet, but sycophant guy is kind of an idiot, so this doesn't occur to him. And then later on, Mayor Fisk is doing the rounds, speaking events, public appearances, shows up at a middle school, whatever, when BB Urich posts the story that sycophant guy blabbed to her about, with the mayor's plans to cut sanitation costs, and with that comes a bunch of controversies, and Fisk is furious that somebody leaked this. Not head in a car door furious, but, furious. And to his credit, I guess, sycophant guy confesses that he was the leak, admits that he screwed up, owns his mistake, apologizes, spends a few minutes kissing the mayor's ass and telling him how great he is. And whether Wilson was swayed by the ass kissing or whether he really is trying to be a kinder, gentler Kingpin, he lets sycophant guy off the hook for this one. Because he might be an idiot, but he is loyal, which Wilson likes, though may God have mercy on this guy's soul if he fucks up again. And I guess this plot is to illustrate how Fisk is getting frustrated with all the red tape and bureaucracy and why he can't just make things happen. Also, there's a scene in there showing that he really doesn't understand or have the patience for all the things that need to happen in order to implement his policies. Again, taking inspiration from real political events. So I assume this is building to him eventually getting so frustrated that he goes back to getting shit done the old-fashioned way. And I see the point of it, but did sycophant guy really need his own subplot? I don't know. This might just be me being a little tired of politics right now, but it wasn't my favorite part of the episode. So, I don't know. Those two subplots I can take or leave, I guess. But the episode proper actually begins with Matt picking up Hector's belongings from the coroner and remarking how strange it is that no one found the casing of the bullet that killed him. Hector's niece comes in. She's really upset. She's convinced that the crooked cops killed her uncle. She's sure that no one is going to do anything about it. Matt tells her that they just have to believe that someone will, and the injustice of it all is killing Matt, but he's still not in a place where he can push himself to be that person who's going to do something about it, because doing that would mean putting the suit back on, which would mean confronting his feelings about Foggy's death, which we see later Matt still has not done. Nice scene. The little girl playing Hector's niece is really good here. We see Wilson and Vanessa at marriage counseling again. And again, I can't help but feel bad for Wilson here. I mean, they finally talk about the affair Vanessa had with Adam while Wilson was recovering from being shot in the face. Wilson thinks her affair was a betrayal, but Vanessa thinks Wilson ghosting her after he was shot in the face was the betrayal. I think I'm going to side with Wilson on that one. Especially after Vanessa talks about Adam's hands as if he did things with those hands that professional happy ending masseuses could only dream of, while her husband is sitting right there listening to this. Good God. Yeah, Vanessa doesn't have a ton of sympathy. She really doesn't. Wilson leaving during his recovery brought up a lot of issues with her parents. Her father was away on business a lot. He gambled. He treated her mother badly. And her mom became very beaten down, which led to Vanessa resenting her. And this thing with Wilson has brought all that stuff back. So that's something. Like, Wilson is learning this for the first time as we are. And it doesn't absolve her of the affair, but finding out why she did it does grease the wheels a little bit. I'm still on Wilson's side here. Mileage may vary on whether you think we should see Kingpin like this. I think it's okay. Vanessa has always been Wilson's kryptonite, and as we see later on, it's not like he's taking this lying down. But very illuminating conversation here. Anyway, the affair has since ended after Wilson confronted Adam and had a dialogue with him. It's pretty clear that Vanessa is suspicious that Wilson didn't go old school Kingpin on this guy. But that's his story for now. He says he told Adam that he could not fathom a life of meaning without Vanessa. Excuse me. And Vanessa seems to like that. She tells the lady therapist in private that Wilson is capable of extreme things, but harming Vanessa isn't one of them. And I do believe that, for now. But they're putting that out there for a reason, so we'll see what happens as this Adam story unfolds. More good stuff here. Yeah, I think Wilson looks like the more sympathetic one in a vacuum, but the writers are showing us both sides of it. And it's a really interesting relationship, even though I do wish we could get to wherever we're going with these two a little more quickly. Excuse me. Now I know we're jumping around a lot here, but by now Matt is getting really frustrated that he can't get justice done the way he thinks he needs to. Spilled water on my shirt. Professional YouTuber, here we go. So Matt goes to the site of Hector's murder. Using his hypersenses, he easily finds the bullet casing in a storm drain. And wouldn't you know it, it has the Punisher's logo on it. I guess the crooked cops are really concerned with their branding. I think there's shades of real events here too, because I think there was some kind of noise about Marvel changing the Punisher's logo because that logo had been co-opted by people with the wrong political beliefs. Let's call it that. I don't know if that's still a thing or if they went back to the old logo, but it looks like they're taking inspiration from all over the place. So, Matt pays Frank Castle a visit, and now we're getting somewhere. Frank nearly kills Matt with a hatchet when he walks in the door. Jesus Christ, guys, this scene is so fucking good. So fucking good. John Bernthal is goddamn great as Frank Castle, and him and Charlie Cox play off each other. The dynamic is between Matt and Kingpin. It's just as good with Matt and Frank. The difference is Frank is a lot more volatile and prone to calling Matt out on his issues than Fisk is right now. But it is really similar because these are also two characters who understand each other in a way that no one else really does. Like Frank said back in the Netflix days, the difference between him and Matt is just one bad day. Nobody cuts right through the bullshit like Frank Castle. Matt's in there 2 minutes, and Frank already sees right through him. He thinks Matt came here not for help, but for permission. And he's probably not wrong. You know, deep down, Matt does feel guilty that he can't make sure that justice is served the way it needs to be. Because Matt did capture Bullseye and got him put away for life, but Bullseye is still alive, Foggy is still dead, and Matt is still heartbroken over that. Matt is just dissolving into tears right now as Punisher just gets right in his face. Like, he keeps eating at you and eating at you and eating at you. I see right through you. And Frank is getting a little emotional now, too, as he talks about what motivates him and how the memory of his son spurs him on to do what he does. It's kind of the same thing, but in reverse for Matt, because like the memory of Foggy is what's keeping Matt from putting the suit back on. And Frank can see that Matt not being Daredevil right now and doing more than just working within the system is eating him up inside. Bullseye and Foggy get mentioned. Matt does not take that well. Holy shit, the acting in this scene is fantastic. Cox and Bernthal just destroyed this shit. Their chemistry is off the charts. Like, all of Matt's emotional walls get broken down here, courtesy of Frank Castle, and it's only now that he has the push he needs. He needed someone to knock some sense into him. Not literally, but that's kind of what happened here. You know, Frank told him to knock it off with the bullshit and fucking get to work. Fantastic stuff. Wilson and Vanessa have dinner. Wilson talks about how he learned a lot from his asshole father about how to be a brute and a thug, but he didn't learn forgiveness. So that does not come naturally to him. But he is trying, because he really does want to save their marriage. I actually believe that he's being genuine. Not really sure where Vanessa stands on it, though. Because of everything that's happened, she's changed, and she's not the same person she was when they got married. And even though that woman was no saint either. So I'm not really sure how this is going to play out, but it seems like they're trying to make things work with Vanessa is the one thing that's keeping Wilson from reverting to form. He's still a monster, but as long as he has Vanessa, he's muzzled. So what happens if this marriage counseling thing doesn't work out? To be continued. So Wilson goes into the basement and eats this big, delicious-looking meal right in front of Adam, who Wilson has bloodied and locked up like an animal. Looks like he's been there for a while, too. Meanwhile, Matt goes home, has sex with the therapist girlfriend, then goes up to the roof, breaks out his Daredevil gear, and starts twirling that nightstick around like a ninja. It's kind of a weird bookend with the first episode where Kingpin was up top on the roof and Matt was down below looking up at him. Now it's reversed. Matt's up on the roof, Kingpin's down below. Wonder if that was intentional. And the episode ends in the sewer where we get our first look at Muse. Well, no, he was in an earlier scene, actually, but he didn't do anything. Muse carrying a new victim into his underground lair and starts draining all the blood out of him like an absolute psychopath. Dude was on screen for 10 seconds this week, already horrifying. This episode was fucking great. Yeah, that is mostly because of the Matt Frank scene, which was fucking phenomenal, by the way, but the rest of it holds up, too. Like, it's really impressive that you can have an action-based show do an episode with no action, where the big climax is just a conversation where the hero is, like, emotionally destroyed, and it's every bit as riveting as any action scene you could do instead. That's what actual good writing does for you. Something a lot of the other Marvel Disney Plus shows have not been able to pull off. Also, I continue to be very happy with how well the characters are getting fleshed out. I do really miss Karen and Foggy. As I understand it, Karen will be back at some point this season. And they'll both be back in season 2. We already got news about that, so it's not a spoiler. But the writers are getting everything they can out of Foggy's death. So far, that's being handled well. I'm still not sure. I'm still unconvinced that killing off Foggy was a good idea. Seems like there's more to the story, though. and they're doing right by it so far. Matt is still heartbroken over it. A year later, it's still affecting him. Like, apparently he hadn't really broken down about it yet until just now. Thank you, Frank Castle. I do wish we could get some fighting sprinkled in here and there. We had like 2 almost fights here where the cop like shoved Matt up against a wall. Frank nearly killed him with a hatchet, so they almost fight, but then they don't. It's about time we get to the fighting, guys. Still, like, when the characters are this good, when the writing is this good, it makes the wait for Daredevil to suit up again a lot easier. So it's weird how I keep complaining about this, and then I say, well, actually, it's not that bad. I mean, I'm enjoying all this other stuff they're doing. Now, the plots with Sycophant Guy and the belligerent client, I could take or leave. I saw what they were trying to accomplish. I just think we needed. I don't think we needed to devote that much time to it. Not really a big deal, especially when everything else is so good. So overall, I'm very happy with Born Again so far. There's still more than enough time for Marvel to fuck it up, so not letting my guard down just yet. But 4 episodes in, they have not dropped the ball yet. So good job, Marvel. Keep it up. Excuse me. John Bondi, thank you for the super chat. What did you think of White Tiger? Okay, so if John Bondi missed the stream from last week, that's cool. I like the actor. I thought my problem was we didn't get to see White Tiger actually do anything. They spent 2 episodes talking about this guy. They told us that he has a mystical amulet that gives him superpowers and stuff. We never saw him fight anyone. We saw Hector Ayala fight someone, but he didn't have his powers. Didn't even have his costume on. Once he put the suit back on, all he did was walk outside and get shot in the head. There was one tiny little action scene he did, but that was just like on a news broadcast. It was like security camera footage from a convenience store robbery that he stopped. Otherwise, we never saw White Tiger do anything. Look, the story was good. The actor was good. But it was a lot of it was a lot of telling and not showing, right? Like, it would have been cool if we'd at least seen White Tiger do something before getting killed. Like, we had all those people on the stand talking about how White Tiger saved me, White Tiger did this cool shit, he helped us out. Okay, maybe show us him doing that in via flashbacks. It would have been nice to have a little more evidence of his battle prowess or his heroism. Like, we know he's a hero. He saved that guy from getting killed in the subway. That's cool. But he also has this superhero identity, and we never really saw him do anything with it. You know? Okay. Hope that answers your questions. What else have we got here? Yeah, they did have to work around the footage of Hector Ayala's actor since he passed away after filming it. As I understand it, he had completed everything he had to shoot before he passed away. You know, and it wouldn't have stopped them from putting a stunt guy in the White Tiger suit. I still think it was a mistake to not have him doing anything. The audio is cutting out. He had completed everything. Huh. Sounds okay on my end. Okay. All right, so the audio is fine for some of you, and for others it's cutting out. That's weird. Okay. Yeah. All right, so the audio is fine. Yeah, guys, it might be a problem on your end, because some people can hear it, and I can hear it too on my end over here. For God's sake. Man, it's always some kind of problem with OBS, isn't it? Getting episodes 5 and 6 next week. Yeah, that's probably where he suits up as Daredevil again. The scene with Fisk and the Daniel kid felt odd. I don't buy that Fisk would let him off the hook. Well, yeah, I thought it was weird. They kind of explained that a little bit later with the dinner scene with Vanessa. Fisk is trying to be more forgiving. He's trying to. It could be that that could be part of it. Also, Daniel did spend like a solid minute kissing Fisk's ass. So Fisk does have an ego. Remember, he doesn't like to put up with bullshit. But he does like loyalty. So I mean, if you prostrate yourself enough, might buy you a little bit of leeway. And I don't think it'll happen again, though. Yeah. Fisk having to listen to the We Built This City song twice while being cringe about it was funny. Yeah. I probably would have cringed right along with him. YouTube didn't even tell me you did this last week. Yeah, the notification function is really shoddy these days. For future reference, we're doing these Daredevil reviews Monday nights, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So if you don't get the notice, that's when it is. What did you think of the ending of Echo? Do you think the ending of Echo had an effect on Fisk? I'm trying not to. I try not to think about the ending of Echo, or the beginning of Echo, or the middle of Echo, or anything that happened in Echo, period. I would like to think that Fisk is completely unaffected by the events of that show, because he was completely humiliated in Echo, and I don't think it would do his character any favors to reference those events ever again. Okay. John Bernthal refused to come back until they did the creative overhaul. Bless him. Yep. Mm-hmm. John Bernthal is one of us, guys. I heard that too. Let's see. I've been hearing from people that watched the series ahead of us and said post episode 4 it turns up to 11. Awesome. Yeah, there's definitely a reason why we're getting 2 episodes next week. Remember, in the original iteration of the show before the retooling, the rumor was that the first 4 episodes had no Daredevil in them. A Nomad suiting up as Daredevil. So, what I think happened is they shot a new first episode after the retooling, and then they used a lot of the stuff from those early episodes in these, in episodes 2, 3, and 4 here. So now we're past that, and now we're probably getting into more of what the new showrunner's vision for what Born Again is going to be. And if you're getting 2 episodes next week, the shit is about to hit the fan, I think. By the way, sorry if I'm a little bit out of it. this week. Can't really be helped. I got tested for sleep apnea recently. And the way that works is they give you a bunch of gear that you have to put on while you sleep, and it like records all your bodily functions and whatnot. So I did that a couple weeks ago. Then it turns out the device kind of fucked up, so I had to do it again. That was a couple days ago, and I could not for the life of me get to sleep. I think I was lying in bed for like 4 hours straight, just wide awake. I don't know what the problem was, but I could not sleep at all that night. So I had to try it again the following night. Slept a couple hours maybe, but basically I'm on like 6 hours of sleep in the last 2.5 days here. So if I seem out of it, that's why. Let's see. Kingpin was okay on Hawkeye. He was until the last episode, where they kind of made him look ridiculous. And do you think this retooling has a benefit? Well, Kevin Feige definitely thinks it has a benefit because he shut down the old version of his show and threw out everyone who worked on it and completely redid the whole thing. So if the original version of Born Again was so bad that they had to pull a Batgirl on it, then yeah, I think there probably was a benefit to having the retooling done. Marvel opened a can of worms by mentioning the Skrulls, so that's mean the Secret Invasion finale is canon. Yeah, could have done without that. Jokaji13, thank you for the super chat. Hey Tharias, hope you're doing well. I checked out of the MCU after how bad Ant-Man 3 was. Fair. Is this show good enough for people like me to check back in? The sentient ants with lasers was so stupid. Well, we're 4 episodes in, and I'm still really happy with it. I think it might slightly depend on what you're looking for, because these first 4 episodes have been light on action, as I've talked about a lot. There was an incredible action sequence in the first episode. Since then, they've just kind of been setting the stage for stuff, doing character interactions and like developing everybody and just focusing on the drama of it and the fallout of Foggy's death. It's all been good stuff. Yeah, there's been nothing bad so far. It does kind of feel like they're just getting some things out of the way that they need to get out of the way. Yeah, I absolutely think it's worth watching. It looks like, shit's really going to hit the fan by next week. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that you come back and watch it. Crispy Cream, thank you for the super chat. Charles Soule deserves a lot of credit for creating Muse, truly underrated villain. Okay, I will take your word for that. I've never really been heavily into the Daredevil comics. Yeah, he was always a character that I never really gravitated to. My first. It was really the Netflix series that made me a fan of this character. So I've heard good things about plenty of Daredevil runs in the comics. I've never really checked them out though. So I didn't know that was Charles Soule. All right, good for him. So you've not been getting enough oxygen to your brain? Yeah, I guess it wouldn't surprise you, huh? Guess it shouldn't surprise me either. People still think Batgirl was not going to be abysmal in theaters. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it either. What do you think of the rumor that Season 2 will have Daredevil reunite with the Defenders to fight against Fisk and his anti-vigilante task force? I think it would make sense to do. Story-wise, it seems like they're going in that direction. I'd love to have Jessica Jones back. I think that's a character they can and should absolutely do more with. Luke Cage and Iron Fist, don't think there's a ton of people clamoring to have them back, but I like the Defenders series more than most people did. So yeah, I think that'd be great. Might pop the viewership too. Can't go wrong there. Bullseye was perfect in the first episode. Hope he returns. Also, they could have used him in Thunderbolts. That would have been awesome. I wouldn't say no to Bullseye appearing in Thunderbolts. The thing is, though, the Thunderbolts, or this iteration of them, seems to be just a bunch of lovable anti-heroes. Bullseye is not really an anti-hero. He's a straight up cold-blooded killer. Not that the others aren't killers, but you know what I mean. They're going for a Guardians of the Galaxy style, misfits, maybe found family. I don't know, but that's the kind of tone. I think Bullseye is too dark to put him in with that group. Yeah, Kristen Ritter said she wants to come back. Yes, she did. I saw that clip too. And, she's not doing anything else right now, as far as I know. Kristen Ritter's so good, man. Take her back, absolutely. Do you think Finn Jones deserves a second chance as Iron Fist? Yeah, I do. I mean, I felt bad for Finn Jones. He got so much shit for Iron Fist, man. That was not his fault. They gave him, a week to train, after getting the part before they started filming. He had no time to prepare for the role at all. Then he gets thrown right into the fire. Of course it's not going to look great. I mean, what the hell was he supposed to do? That was a no-win situation. Give the man, some months to get, a few months to get in shape and train and work on the martial arts and stuff. And I remember back when I reviewed Season 2, well, that was one of the earlier reviews I did. I mean, in Season 2, he looked a lot better. He was a lot more convincing with the action. So, I mean, I think he proved that he can do it. He has the physicality to do it when he has the chance to train for it. So, yeah, let the guy redeem himself. Do you think a team comprised of Daredevil, Punisher, Quake, Moon Knight, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage would be a good idea? Honestly, I don't know how Quake fits into that group. These are all it seems like the common denominator there is that they're all street level characters except Quake. Also, Moon Knight kind of got a big power up in his Disney Plus show. So I don't know if you could call him street level anymore. But yeah, I mean, otherwise that'd be cool. Honestly, I don't know about Luke Cage in there either. It's one of the problems I had with the Luke Cage Netflix series. It's he's too overpowered. I mean, sure, the action scenes where he's just mowing down bad guys and bullets are bouncing off his chest, it's cool once or twice. But you can't do that all the time. It gets old really fast, and then after a while, it just becomes fucking boring. And then it's if you're facing street-level threats, then whichever side Luke Cage is on is going to win. It's the same problem I have with Ms. Marvel in her movies. Captain Marvel, whatever. Yeah, it's cool because, I mean, you've got, in the Defenders, you've got Daredevil, whooping ass with ninjas over here. You got Iron Fist blasting guys over here. Jessica doing her thing over here. And then there's Luke Cage. Okay, you know what? You could take all these hand ninjas and throw them in a room with Luke Cage, and only Luke Cage is walking out. So I might take Luke Cage out of that group also. No shade on Luke Cage. It's just I'm not a fan of OP characters. Luke Cage and Iron Fist needed better writers. Yes, they did. Daisy Johnson was raised in the same orphanage as Matt. That's where the connection comes in. Was she really? Never knew that. Also a vigilante during season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Eh. Alright, well, I'm not sure if the orphanage thing is canon anywhere outside of the comics. I mean, it's never been mentioned. Also, I'm not sure if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is even considered canon in the MCU. Pretty sure that's gonna be a multiverse thing now. Yeah. You never know. So other than being drunk and a raging bitch, what the fuck were Jessica's powers? No, seriously, what were they? I don't blame you for being confused. Because in all honesty, I think the writers were really confused during her Netflix series. That's one of the main complaints I had about the Jessica Jones show, was that her powers were incredibly inconsistent. There's one episode where she could lift up a car. She could lift a car. And in another episode, she was knocked unconscious by this 90-pound waif with a 2x4. So, her strength, like her power levels are just constantly changing depending on the needs of the story. Also, she can fly sometimes she can't. Canonically, in the comics, her powers are flight and super strength. In the show, they really didn't focus on that at all. So it was just her powers are. She's kind of strong sometimes. She can kind of sort of fly sometimes, but not when the story needs her to not have these powers. So I don't blame you for being confused about her powers, because I think the writers were too. Or it was something they just ignored because they wanted to focus more on the PI stuff. It was mentioned in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that Daisy was raised in St. Agnes, same as Matt and Daredevil. Oh, was it? Never noticed that. Alright, cool. So if they were raised in the same orphanage, I don't know if they ever would have been there at the same time. I think Matt is a little bit older than Daisy is. Also, we don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually canon. I suspect it's not. From what I understand, Jessica Jones has super strength. Yeah, she has super strength and flight. But they were very inconsistent with those powers on the show. Most of the time, her flight was portrayed as just being able to jump really far. And sometimes she can control which direction the jump goes in. I think guided falling, Kristen Ritter called it at one point. In the MCU, why the heck they had about 6 different multidimensional breaches by different characters and there was no resolution between the different breaches? Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing with this multiverse saga. I know they've had to pivot because of the Jonathan Majors situation, but it's very clear that they did not have a plan for the multiverse saga. They did not. You know, there's been some kind of weird connection between Ms. Marvel and the 10 Rings from Shang-Chi. We've known about that for a couple of years now. Done nothing with it. And also, the Marvels movie seemed to go against some of the continuity established in the Ms. Marvel show. So, yeah, there's no plan. They need to end the multiverse saga. Just end it, put it out of its misery, acknowledge that it didn't work, and just move on from it. Excuse me. All right. Still having a problem with my voice. Found some meds finally that sort of help with that. That's why I'm back to doing live streams now. Still not perfect, though. Let's see. I feel like the Defenders should have used Master Khan as the leader of the Hand instead of Sigourney Weaver. In the comics, Master Khan is an enemy of Luke Cage and Iron Fist and commands a ninja assassins. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say no to Sigourney Weaver, like, ever. I think the real problem with the Defenders is that they got rid of Elektra. Killing off Elektra? Really? I mean, she was in like half of Daredevil season 2, and then she was kind of in like a zombified state in the Defenders, and then they just killed her off. Continued, but wow, that is. I mean, she's such a major character too. To just throw her away like that felt like a waste. CPAP will make you hoarse. Yeah, I hope I don't have to use one of those things. It was hard enough getting to sleep with just the testing equipment on. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to go over here? Any other good comments here? Matt saw her alive at the end of the Defenders. Did she? Did he? Huh. I haven't seen that show since it aired originally. All right. Okay. I don't think. If anybody's got any like cool comments, good comments, get them in right now. I don't think we'll be going too long tonight because I want to try to get some sleep. Also, we get. Oh my God, we got Snow White dropping tomorrow. Yeah, Snow White is finally here, guys. Can you believe it? Premieres tomorrow. I want to try to get a head start on that one. I feel like there's been so much build up to this one. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if this thing is really gonna live up to expectations unless it's a dumpster fire, the likes of which we've never seen. Some of the reviews are really good somehow. The shills are out in force. You doing a review of Snow White? Yeah. You think I'd miss out on this one? Did you see Jeremy John's review? No, I haven't seen any reviews for it yet. I've purposely been avoiding them. Oh, so I know some of the critics have been pretty positive about it, which I don't trust mainstream critics anymore, but. Yeah, otherwise, I've avoided the critics. The shills can't save it. Oh, they're going to try, aren't they? I'm surprised with the amount of F-bombs in Born Again. Yeah, they cussed more than they did with the Netflix show, didn't they? I'm surprised as well. This is Disney Plus we're talking about. I did not think they'd get away with. They'd let them get away with that stuff. Snow White is a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I guess even the shill critics are in the minority on that one. Okay. All right, I guess we can cut it there because. Sorry. I want to try to save my voice in case I have to do a lot of yelling when I review Snow White. Once again, I'm sorry for all the technical issues last week. And apparently there have been some this week too. Apparently the audio was cutting out for some of you. I don't know why. But for others, it sounded okay. So the problem may be on your end, guys. I can look into it a little bit more. But I did a lot of testing over the last week. I thought it finally sounded okay. But I'll look into it. I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of problem going on here. I don't know. I checked and double checked this thing before I went live. So I'm not sure what the problem could be. But I will check it out. And hopefully there'll be no problems next week. So thanks for tuning in. Also, for those who asked me, and if you missed it at the start of the live stream, the episode 3 review is finally up on the live streaming channel. It was not letting me download it for a while. I had to screw around with it. It finally worked, so it's up there now. I know the audio is not great in that video, but I put it up there because people were asking about it. This live stream should be up on the live streaming channel by tomorrow. As soon as we stop it here, I'll be setting it to private because, not a lot of people watch the live streams. So if I just leave it up there, the algorithm's going to kill my channel. So I'll be setting it to private. It'll be on the live streaming channel tomorrow, hopefully. And so thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the live streams. Let's see. Crispy Cream, thank you very much. Joe Kaji, thank you. Had a $10 super chat on that one. And John Bondi, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. And remember, the live streams for Daredevil Born Again will be Wednesday nights, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll try to stick to that time slot every week. So if you miss the notifications, if you don't get them, can't talk. Lack of sleep. Sorry. If you miss the notifications or if you don't get one for whatever reason, it'll always be Wednesday nights, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, unless something changes. So, follow me on Twitter. Notifications always go up on that. Otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I will talk to you later. And now we've got Snow White to worry about. I can't wait. See you next time.